Okay, getting back to the original thing, though, we were talking about women do not have equal rights to men in the USA. Are you the only one that, does anybody here else agree with her?
I do, yeah.
Oh, women don't have equal rights.
Yeah,
But they do?
I wanted to finish, we were talking about wage gap, men occupying higher positions of power. I brought up the greater male variability hypothesis. The other one that I wanted to relate to as it relates to dating is women's own dating preferences and standards creates a mating pressure that is one directional that applies to men that doesn't apply in the reverse. You guys all want a guy who makes six figures, you want a guy to pay for first dates, you want a protector, provider, etc. So I believe because of this mating pressure that exists on men that never really exists in the opposite direction. So women, when it comes to making money, women have a survival basis for wanting to earn money.
Yes.
Or, you want to have recreation, you want to have leisure, you want to have travel, whatever. Men have that too. But on top of all those things, survival, you need rent paid, you need to have food, healthcare, whatever. Men and women have, I would just say, equal survival motivation for making money. Men have an additional motivation that I don't think women have when it comes to making money and being successful and having status. Women want men to pay for dates, they want men to be providers, etc. Men really don't want that in reverse. If the bottleneck, I guess, for lack of a better word, for men getting really anything, any sort of level of anything from a woman, whether it's a date, whether it's, even if they just want casual sex, they want a date, they want a long-term relationship, they want a wife, they want a girlfriend, they want children one day. For men, there is a component of, I need to be financially in a good spot, I need to be financially or economically attractive, as it's sometimes called. Mm-hmm. Women don't have this pressure on them. They don't, from a romantic perspective.
That is true.
Like, you guys don't have that pressure. And so this creates a asymmetry in terms of motivation for men because, and by the way, I think men are more, they're definitely at least more sex motivated. Men have a higher sex drive. Men are more sex motivated. I don't know if there's a difference in terms of like romance. When I say romance, I just mean like more serious long-term dating motivation. It's probably comparable because men, actually, you can make an argument men want it more. Because I saw this study, and I don't know if we pulled it up. Nick, in the Discord, I think it's in infographics. It's, one sec, guys. Wait, shit, did I post it? Dang, maybe I didn't.
That men want a long-term relationship?
Gen Z, they pulled Gen Z men and Gen Z women. So at the top of the priority, well, okay, hold on, let me be fair. It was comparing men who voted for, okay, so it's not, men who voted for Trump versus women who voted for Kamala. Gen Z men who voted for Trump, their primary definition of what success means, have children, get married. Mm-hmm. That's at the top. It's above, have a high-paying job, be successful financially. For Gen Z women who voted for Kamala, having a job, making good money, that's at the top for them.
Yeah.
And having children and getting married is at the very bottom for Gen Z women who voted for Kamala. Mm-hmm. And so I might actually be, I think maybe in some ways, men are more even romantically motivated. Men might even want, the more long-term serious family than women do, even then. But so for men to get, whether it's casual sex, long-term relationship, wife, especially for long-term for the wife, they need to be economically, financially attractive to women. Men really don't care. From an attraction perspective, there could be an economic reality, like most households, you need you need two incomes to be able to live, whatever. But if there does come a point once a guy makes enough money, doesn't care. Like, he doesn't care about a woman's income, doesn't matter. I'm a high earner. I'll date a girl who works at Chick-fil-A, don't give a fuck. Doesn't matter whatsoever. It'd be nice if she's not in like debt or something. I'd probably still date a girl who even has debt. Don't care. Whereas women, it's a little different. So I would argue that the reason The reason that men occupy this, that they're the CEO, that they're in the C-suite, that they're executives, that they make more money. And there's a lot of fact. I don't believe the wage gap exists if you control for it. But even if it did exist, even if this wage gap exists, it's unfair, there's 80% of CEOs are men. It's women's own dating preferences and women's demand for providers and for men to pay on dates. That creates enough of a social, cultural pressure, a mating pressure on men that doesn't exist in you. And that's men are more motivated to succeed. Y'all can get dick without, you don't need money.
That's
you can
true.
get dick.
That's true.
I need to be at least, I can't be, if we could fuck women in cardboard boxes, trust me, we would. But I can't fuck a girl in a cardboard box.
So you gotta
some of
become a
y'all
CEO.
probably
What is
fucked
the
a homeless
question
guy.
here?
Well, I mean, there are broke guys that can still get laid, but
Sure.
generally,
Yes.
though, you do need to be a successful male. You're
Totally.
exactly
I
right.
completely
Yeah.
agree with that.
Look, to be fair, yeah, of course, like women deal with broke men all the time also.
But it's not favorable. It's
But I
not.
think-
It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
A guy with debt, a guy going on a first date and say, I got $25,000 in credit card debt is going to be
It's like,
a non-starter.
wah, wah.
Yeah.
Why
Pull
would
it up,
you
Nick.
do
Pull it
that
up.
too?
Yes. Where did you find it, by the way? Was it
Twitter? I found it.
okay? Oh, I posted on Twitter.
And this is for Gen
So
Z.
Gen Z, men who voted for Trump, having children, 34%, being married, 29% at number 4, financial independence. Women who voted for Harris, fulfilling job career, 51%. It's the very top. And then if you look at the bottom there, having children is at the very bottom. Being married at the very bottom, 6%. Massive difference there. I mean, probably would be different if we were comparing conservative men to conservative women.
Definitely.
Harris
Definitely.
voters also want free abortions for everybody.
Word.
Yeah.
Word. Let's see here. But I don't know. That's my perspective on, I almost wonder if it's sexism from women.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is a
Your
very
fault.
interesting theory. I mean, it could be part of it. I don't disagree with you that men have to be successful and have an unfair pressure that has been around forever. But you have to also keep in mind, women weren't even allowed to really enter the workplace a couple of decades ago. I mean, when
they
I
couldn't
was
get
born,
credit cards to the
I-
80s.
Yes, a couple
women couldn't
decades
get
ago.
credit cards to the early 80s.
I could not get it. The year I was born, I could not have signed a mortgage without my husband or daddy signing it with
It
me.
should still be like that.
I hope you don't get married at like 1 year old, but
No, but I mean, that's the point, that if I was alive at that time. So there definitely have been things that have changed, but I think there's a backlag. I don't think we're going to see the same thing of rates of CEOs 20 and 30 years from now, in part because of those Gen Z stats for Kamala Harris. Women are not wanting to get married anymore. Women are not wanting to have children. Women are not wanting to date men.
But women have been in the workforce for a very long time, and there were specific
that
banks who
long.
had sexist practices. This is true. However, I think part of it, I think we're ignoring some components of it. Like, for example, historically, husbands were responsible for the wife's debts, right? So there was some degree of, I think we have to look at it with some deeper analysis here, where yes, men had like certain additional privileges or whatever, and women didn't. But this was because of the way the laws were. But women have worked throughout all of human history.
But women were not, it was not a predominantly typical thing. Even in the 80s, knew very few moms that were working that I grew up with. I mean, this
Brian,
is not...
it's really new. My grandmother was the second woman to graduate from SMU Law School. And she's not, she's passed away now. So, like, it wasn't that long ago women couldn't go to law school.
My mom went to Fordham, and she was the first year that women were allowed to go to the school.
Like, within the last 50 years, women could go to law school.
Well, speaking of college, though, you bring up college. So starting in the 1980s, I think it was 1979, 1980, ever since that year, women have been going to college and graduating from college at higher rates than men.
Yeah.
1980. So that's when there was more women going to college, more women graduating from college, getting diplomas. That's 45 45, 46 years ago. So women who graduated at that point, when there were more women who were started going to college, it started in the 1980s, they're retired. If you graduated college in 1980, you're 65, 66, you're retirement age.
You may be.
So there's been an entire generation of women who have had that experience of,
going to college.
The majority
My
of women
mom's
are going
a lawyer.
to college, and they're retired now. So by the way, more women do go to college. I think the split is 60-40. 60% of women, 40% of men. It varies from institution to institution, but overall.
But there's attitudes too. Like a couple of decades ago, the only jobs it was really acceptable for women who went to college to have were being teachers or nurses. Yes, this is true.
That's true.
It is true. It is true. It was not acceptable for women to go into the boardroom and take over. This is still a relatively new phenomenon. I don't think it's going to look.
Sexism in the 60s and 70s. Yeah, sure.
But
I'll grant it.
there's still sexism now.
I don't really think there's a boys' club anymore.
I think it depends what industry.
I think it's like reverse sexism when you see like people like Dylan Mulvaney and that Bud Light campaign where that woman decided to run a beer company, and Bud Light's famous for their great beer ads, and then the first time you put a woman in charge of it, they almost tanked the whole company.
No, listen, I'm not saying it's across the board in every industry. Like in my industry, it's actually better to be a woman. We can't even find enough men who want to be therapists. I'm in a very female-centric business.
It is. Yeah.
But there are certain industries like hedge funds. I mean, there's a million things where it's still a good old boys club.
You know,
oil riggers,
line worker,
real estate,
that make a lot of money.
music,
That make industries that make a top dollar. A lot of them are still male dominated.
But I don't know I don't really think women are really getting like historically, I don't really think women had a raw deal here. It was like, okay, you could support a family on one income, one breadwinner. The man works, the woman stays at home. That, I don't know, working like most women, or not even just women, most people are not going to have some ultra fulfilling, like you wake up in the morning and you're like, yeah, get out of bed. Yes. I think a lot of people have either like tough jobs, shitty jobs, or they're working for some corporation. They're sitting at a desk, a cubicle, some open office space, fucking bullshit. You think like these women on their deathbed, they're gonna be like, yeah, I worked for IBM, and I was in Toledo, Ohio, or I don't know where their fucking corporate HQ is. I was I was a project manager, HR.
That's my mom.
And, yeah, it's like, and oh man, that one, I was in the corporate office, and like I hired those people, and I was the HR, and those people that said rude things. I had that one time. I had that really like. I fucking schooled that person who was like being rude to his coworker. You're not going to think about that shit on your deathbed? Who gives a fuck?
Well, not if it's that job. But I think the point is to be able to choose for men and for women, to be able to choose. If I'm a woman and I want to be the CEO, which I don't, by the way, then I want to be able to have access to that. That's all.
Sure,
I want the option.
I believe women should have the choice. But in so doing, you have taken the choice away from the women who want to be stay-at-home
But
wives.
I don't want to take away that choice. I think that's beautiful.
But the unintended consequence of doubling the labor pool and having like unhinged feminism is that women really, the economic reality now is you need two incomes.
Yeah.
You need the man and the
But
woman.
we're not
to work.
blaming that on women, are we?
We're blaming that on the.
Why are we blaming that
setting
on
it up
women?
right.
The
Well,
cost of living, inflation.
Yes, the economy is very nuanced, very complicated,
Yeah.
lots of factors. But the reality is, when you double the labor pool, if you double the supply of labor,
You can pay people less.
companies can pay people less. You have less negotiating power from the labor side. So look, I think women should obviously, for the sake of equality, I guess, women should have the choice, be allowed to work, no dispute there. But we should acknowledge the unintended consequence. Now you've become, women no longer really have, some women can meet wealthy guys, but the reality is 90%, 95% of women, they're going to have to work too. You've taken the choice away from the women. Some women want to work, that's fine. You've taken the choice away though from the women who would have been like, you know what, fuck work. I want to just.
Totally. And there are lots of those women.
Yeah, but you've taken the choice away from them, because a lot of women who'd be happy being stay-at-home moms.
It's not affordable for most people anymore. Right.
So you've turned them into slaves.
And society doesn't view a mom as successful. That's how we brainwash young children to think that their only success that women can have is by being a boss babe or being, doing some sort of job or corporate America, which is the farthest thing from the truth. So I think that a lot of it's our society. It's like I was saying earlier, nature versus nurture, because women don't envision being a mom as like this achievement. That's why less people are choosing to even.
But some women, I think, I hear you. I think some women definitely do. I think the hard part is there are women who don't feel totally fulfilled by that alone. Mm-hmm. But then there are some, I have friends that are stay-at-home moms and they love it. They are so happy to do that. They do see it as a success, and they're in economically privileged circumstances that enable them to do it. All the power to them. Mm-hmm. I think regardless of my own financial circumstances, I would have wanted to do something for a career where I felt intellectually stimulated, personally.
Mm-hmm. We have a couple chats, then I need to step away for just a moment. We have Pasty George here coming in.
A message from the government of Canada.
Pasty George donated $200.04. I believe in thought into action, such as an artist thinking about what he wants to make and putting in the time and hard work to make it real. I don't believe in the idea of instant manifestation.
I don't think anyone.
We agree with you, Pasty George.
Thank you, Pasty. I think we agree with Pasty on that.
Totally.
But no, the conversation like about, male versus female, I just think that what you're saying, how it's harder for women, like there are some truths to that, but there's some stuff that's harder for men,
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not I hate the idea that feminist is synonymous with wanting to break up the nuclear family or being against men. I love men. I love family. I'm for all those things. To me, being a feminist just means, and I don't even walk around calling myself a feminist, but I am a feminist in that I believe things should be equal. I don't believe men and women are the same, but I don't think it's cool that a couple decades ago I couldn't get a mortgage or a credit card.
I agree that women are new to the workforce. Well,
it's not that long ago, you guys. It's really not.
And you might disagree as the one African American woman on the panel, but there's an argument.
I'm so much more than that, by the way.
Well, I know, and Filipina, but there's actually some argument, and you might not agree with this. I don't know if I 100% agree with it, but maybe a little bit. That actually segregation was good. Desegregation was bad because during segregation, black communities had to lean on each other, so it made their communities stronger. I know that sounds crazy.
Okay, wait. Please say again. You're saying segregation was
how
good?
this is. I know this sounds crazy. I'm not saying I'm pro segregation, but I'm saying societies. Black people were more successful in a segregated society because they were able to lift each other up within their own community, and so a workforce that would be segregated, it would be easier for the woman to be in her role as a mom if every woman was a mom. Does that make sense?
It does. Maybe there were some accidental, unintended positive consequences floating around there, but I'm never going to get behind anything that says segregation was good. It's inhumane.
You never
it's
heard
disgusting.
of that? You never heard of that theory?
I have.
Have you ever heard of that theory?
I've heard of that.
No, like the reason why desegregation was bad because in theory you're like that. Of course that's good. It sounds like it'd be good, but there's also the idea that once everything got segregated, or once everything got desegregated, it made their community a lot weaker because then a lot of the powerful white businesses where people weren't allowed to shop with, now a black person, a black-owned business might have had a monopoly on these black customers. Now they're competing against a white business owner, and the KKK was started by Democrats, and one of the reasons the KKK was actually started, a lot of people don't know, was because a lot of black businesses, they would go and burn down black businesses, and it wasn't just because they didn't like black people. They didn't like that they were making money.
Yeah,
when they were making money.
I have heard that.
So I'm just saying there is something to it. Sounds good. Oh, we're all friends. We all need to come together. And I'm not saying that I want to stay segregated, but do you see how in a society it sounds crazy, but believe it or not, black people could have been more successful in a
from a
segregated
competitive
society.
economic standpoint, I can understand that, but it shouldn't have been segregated in the first place, and then we would have just had a free marketplace of normal valuing human beings at the same time.
Yeah, I would
Bring up. So it's unfair, right, that women, couldn't work or whatever, but they were traditional gender roles. bring up the war. Men had to go to war.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about
now women go to war.
conscription, the draft. I mean, women don't even have to get drafted. They don't even have to. Maybe do they now have to?
Do they?
apply for selection?
No, they don't.
Yeah, I don't think.
But to what you just said before, I mean, there were even very large, predominantly black communities where these communities liked having their own, you know, in the middle of New York City where they have, is it Times Square, that used to be a booming black neighborhood with businesses and, you know, white people, Central Park, and white people, you know, did not like that. And they went in, they burned it down, they turned it into, you know, so black people did like having their spaces. They liked having their towns. They liked their communities. And it was taken away from them to a certain degree when they would become successful because they were.
Colette's freaking out. You're having like I know it's a weird argument, and we're not trying to argue against segregation.
No.
We're just saying there's unintended consequences that you don't really think of because you think all of a sudden the world's going to get better, but then really the world's not better. So it's like all these women, oh, hey, you're going to have the opportunity to be the CEO of McDonald's one day. But really, most people aren't going to be that CEO, and they sell you this idea that you're going to be super successful, and that's not really the case.
Totally fair. I think I'm just saying in principle, these things should be options. It should be an option. For the woman who wants to stay home, stay home. For the man who wants to stay home and have a sugar mama, stay home. Like everyone should live their life the way they want to and have the opportunity to.
And you said this earlier, like, you know, stay-at-home moms that still went into business because they're just so passionate about something.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, that's me. Although I guess I was forced economically to go to work, but looking back, I was not really that happy as a stay-at-home mom. And maybe if my marriage had been better, I would have been happier because when I got married, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, like 100%. I was all for it. But then I found myself feeling disaffected, and I'll never know how much of that was not having a career and how much of that was just my marriage sucked. But now that I have a career I do really love, I'm very grateful to have it, and I'm grateful to have a husband that, I mean, we're very equal economically, and I'm grateful that my husband supports the fact that I work, and even though he's super traditional. But it's funny, he does make jokes a lot about, like, I think at heart, and I don't know if he's still awake because it's really late on the East Coast, but that's okay, because I've said this to him out loud. I secretly think on some level he would like it if I was a little more traditional and submissive. I mean, he's 62.
Every
he's
guy
from the
likes that
South.
a little bit.
Yeah, especially a guy who's in his 60s and grew up in the South.
Yeah.
But, oh well, he's stuck with me, so it's not going to happen.
Well, I don't think you're like a crazy psycho-feminist.
No,
like, you know
I'm
what
not.
I mean?
I am not.
And that is the problem where, like, people like myself and maybe Brian a little bit, where you look at radical feminism where it's been hijacked. Because, like, I don't think Brian wants women to feel like they can't go and achieve something if they're, you know, passionate about something. Like,
right.
You know, it's not like we live in 1922 or whatever, 1970s, where women couldn't get credit cards. So it's just some of the women, I guess, we get mad in society. The idea, like, feminism is these radical leftists that teach women to be sluts, and then all these women get ran through by guys, and now the guy doesn't want to be there. So now these guys all have microplastics in their balls, and all these girls are whores that have slept with all their best friends. So it, like, creates this horrible, vicious cycle.
Yeah, this went south fast.
I know what I'm saying. That's what's happening, where everybody's screwed. The girls are screwed, and the guys are screwed. Yeah. And I think that's true because the amount of people they say men are having sex is less and less and less. And I always hear Blue Chew ads.
True.
Guys can't get their dicks hard. Like, what is going on?
True.
And the girls still have boobs. Girls are still hot, so you don't.
And you guys,
I'm just
in
saying,
therapy, people are
that's
having
not a good
so
thing.
little sex. Even my young couples, people are having so little sex. Society is definitely fucked on many levels. And you know, one thing my colleague and I who do our podcast, it's for women, middle-aged therapy stuff, but we talk a lot about how, like, men are not doing okay right now, and things aren't really fair to men. Nobody wants to hear that, but I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Well, you know what it is, though, too. And I mean, everybody's kind of already knows it, but, like, we were talking about it earlier, but the amount of pornography too is causing men, and now we have access to it where it wasn't like that. When I was in high school, we had one Playboy magazine that we all shared. Like, and now, seriously,
you had to, like, steal it from your dad.
Like, steal it. That's how we originally got it. And now, I mean, I didn't grow. I mean, the internet came out when I was like it was out before I was in high school. But high school was the first time I started to use the internet, and then of course I looked at boobs. But now kids are on the internet at 7, 8.
It's
you know,
bad.
and I don't care how many parental locks you have on the phone. I'm not trying to call you out. Kids can figure out a way, you know, to get past the parental lock.
And you can see stuff that a young developing brain shouldn't be exposed to.
The first time.
Yeah, I
That's
have
why
a
men
question.
have
I have a
sexual
question. I have a question.
intimacy.
How tall are you, and what's the minimum height of a man you would date?
For me?
Yeah.
So I am 5'8", and it's not important to me, but like I would like them to be a few inches taller than me. So like 5'10", 5'11".
Okay. What about
I'm
you?
5'6", and I would like them to at least be 5'9".
How tall are you? 5'6"?
5'6".
Okay. And you?
So I'm 5'3", and I put 5'10", because that was my shortest boyfriend ever, my ex-husband.
Ooh, okay.
I think 90% of women put they have to be over 6 feet tall. Somebody can fact check that, but it's like that range that they put 6 feet. But
Not me.
you guys are liars. But
I
it's
want to
okay.
feel small.
What about you?
I'm very petite. I'm like legit 5 feet. So the shortest for me has to be like no shorter than 5'6".
That's good.
Because if I wear heels, you know.
What about you?
I'm 5'3", and obviously they have to be midgets, right?
That's a good callback.
That was good.
We'll take it.
I'm 5'4", and I think I would have to be a minimum of like 5'7".
I'm 5'3", and I guess minimum 5'3".
I'm 5'5", and there's not really a gauge. My boyfriend's like barely taller than me, so
How tall? You're 5'5", you said?
5'5", yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I just feel like you're lying this whole time. So you're gonna date a 5'3" guy that makes $14,000 as long as he'll watch Dancing with the Stars. Like, you gotta be the crazy. All these women up here, and you're the craziest one.
open-minded
Like,
woman ever.
I mean, seriously.
Simple woman.
Yeah, you're a nice lady. I'll tell you.
Well, hold on. I also want you to dance with me too.
Well, I can see that. Maybe not all guys like to dance.
Once the car accident heals, though, right now
I did have
in
one
hiatus.
thing while I was away. You were saying how women they couldn't work. It was so unfair. You know, I have some thoughts there. I think if we look at that in a vacuum, women couldn't work. Oh my God. Oh my God, they couldn't work. Oh my God. In a vacuum, oh my God, what crazy evidence of sexism. But if we zoom out and we look at society as a whole, this historical, I mean, I kind of contest a little bit that women couldn't work, but just for sake of conversation, sure, maybe certain fields they didn't have access to. It was like societally frowned upon. But I kind of think if we do a comparison of the two traditional roles, and we have men and we have women.
Okay.
And you're doing an assessment of who had it worse in total.
Okay.
I think women had a pretty good deal. I think you couldn't work, and okay, fine, it's sexist, whatever.
You could get Valium, though, You're chilling at home having a good
Man
time.
took care of everything.
Also,
you just get to stay home with your
and
kids.
then maybe some women had bad experiences, but also I think there's probably like really good experiences. Like, I don't have to work. That's dope. I get to stay home, take care of the kids. I think a lot of women today wish they could have that, but they can't because of feminism. But I would just say, like, if we look at the negative outcomes when it comes to men, like, I think it was a kind of a good deal. Okay, men, you go work, you be the workhorses of society, you be the little worker ants, the worker bees, the slaves, essentially. And you provide for your family and your wife and your kids, and the woman gets to stay within the comfort of home, and it's the men that go out into sometimes these men they're going out into the fucking wilderness. The men are going to war. So if we look at like historical trades, World War I, World War II, all these wars, women were, I don't know if spared is the right word, women were protected from the barbarisms that many men did have to witness and see. And so, I don't know, it's this sort of like, you're looking at like specifics, and sure, it was sexist, whatever, women couldn't work.
Even
But men had to go to war, and then if you look, I know you want to come in, just one final thing on this. If we look at the work that was historically available, let's go back 100 years, 150 years. What is the Apple headquarter called? The Apple, they have like a term for it.
Yes.
They call it's a campus. Trust me, in the 1800s, there weren't fucking campuses with free masseuses and free food and coffee and fucking, I don't know, ping pong tables. No, the work that was available 100, 200 years ago was primarily physical labor. And the biological, physiological reality is men are better suited to physical work. And I think it's actually kind of a privilege that men were like, you know what, we got this. We'll destroy our bodies. We'll get black lung so that you women can stay in comfort inside the home and in the fucking cabin with the fire, and we'll go down into the mines and we'll get black lung and fucking destroy our bodies and die at 40. I think women got the better deal.
Yeah. I mean, but the jobs that were available to women, you know, what do we think those were? Because what is the oldest profession?
Wait, why do you want to bring it to prostitution?
Hey, you're, you know.
I'm saying that that it's only until fucking air conditioning was invented that all these jobs, you know, there wasn't like a big feminist push in the 1800s like, yes, we want to be fucking beaver poachers, or I don't know what the fuck people were doing back then. Oh yeah, I want to go hunt or do all this shit. Women, nah.
Yeah, if you weren't having a family, you were a teacher, or you were a nurse, or you were a prostitute.
Yes, and women did. What? Hold on, okay. Most women were not prostitutes.
No, I'm not saying that they were. You were a mother, you were a teacher, you were a nurse, or you
women have
slept with
women throughout history. Like there's like the family business in the 1900s. They'd be secretaries. They'd help out around the shop. They'd help out around the farm. Women worked. So, and also, I mean, look. I think women had a pretty good deal. A pretty good deal if you look at historical, again, I mean, I can just only reiterate this. The work that was available 100 years ago, 150 years ago, not glamorous work. You weren't a boss babe. You weren't, you know, oh, I'm gonna fucking, you know, get my PTO and get my vacation days. No, the work was like, we're sending the men into the mines. You're doing dangerous, dirty, grueling physical labor. You're working all day. There wasn't OSHA back in the fucking 100 years ago.
There used to be child labor 100 years ago.
Exactly.
We had to do child labor laws 100 years ago.
Exactly.
And Brian, I agree, because you and I are both, you know, we're both Billy Zane feminists, and I think that we believe if the Titanic is sinking, it shouldn't just be women and children on the ships. Men should go too.
Oh, like, yeah, of course. I agree with you. Yeah. Sorry, my brain was like...
No, but I'm saying, like, if the boat is sinking, you know how they say on the Titanic, it's only men and women are allowed to get on the boats, but Billy Zane in Titanic gets on the boat.
That's a good... Alex, you bring that up, that's good. When it comes to the Titanic, should it be women and children first?
You mean that go into the lifeboats, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yes. Well, how about this?
The lifeboats is what we're talking about, though.
I think it should just be the rich. No, those were the first class. We're getting on the boats first, for sure. Okay.
But maybe we can agree children first, right?
Yeah.
But then...
Yeah, but if they don't have their parents, how good are they going to turn out as orphans? Come on now. Even kids that go into the system now end up living really bad lives and, you know, end up in drug addicts. Not all of them, but...
Okay.
A lot of bad things happen to children.
Who gets on the lifeboats first, women or men?
Like I said, I mean...
Starting with you.
So I agree with you. It would be children first, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
But
we'll put that aside.
Yeah, we'll put that aside. So I would say, specifically thinking about the Titanic, it would be those of the highest value, both split between male and female. So the people that are essential to continue with whatever it is.
So Dr. Fauci gets on the raft?
Who? Sorry?
Dr. Fauci, because he's essential.
I haven't seen that movie.
Even that would be controversial.
Dr. Fauci, the pandemic. You remember the essential workers during the pandemic? You don't remember?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that's whatever everybody said. My last two jokes is just a bomb, but we're getting late. I'll get one at the end.
What I'm saying is I would think it would be the most essential people, so the people who are in the leadership roles. I don't know if that's male or female. I feel like it would be split pretty evenly, but there would have to be women in order to take care of the children.
But, I mean, we can talk about what the protocol was historically or whatever. Who do you think though? Should it be the
I just
women
gave you my
or the men?
answer. I
Oh,
said it should be split fairly because.
Wait, the fucking Titanic is sinking. Well, tell me.
Who has the most valuable to society?
Obviously, it wouldn't be that calm. But I mean, think about it. If you have a bunch of children going onto a lifeboat, there needs to be a few women because I don't. There has to be adults there. I think it would be. I do agree that I think that the people who are wealthier would think that they are the priority, but I think it's the people who are in those leadership roles that can survive on those boats until they're rescued.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
what do you think?
I said the rich. Right?
The rich.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think?
Yeah, because you'd want one guy on the boat, right? Let's say you said all, like the men and women, or the lady. Excuse me. Let's just say they said all the children and women can go on the boat first. I guarantee all the children would look back and be like, "Let's get one guy on the boat."
But that's what I mean is a male in a leadership role to help in the survival. Yeah.
I don't really think it's fair that it's women and children getting on the lifeboat, but I think that it would look really bad on those men because I think that's still societally constructed.
I know that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
These are unwritten
So I'm a woman,
rules
so
that
I'm
we
going
have
to say
follow.
women because I want to live.
I think we need to be putting enough life rafts for everyone to get on a boat.
Well, this is Carnival Cruise, baby. We don't have enough. If we got enough hamburgers, we don't have enough life rafts.
What do you think?
I would say women because men are physically stronger, so they can swim against currents. And I mean, you throw a woman in the ocean versus a man. A man's probably, I'm being serious. Like a man would probably have a better survival rate at swimming to a nearby island versus a woman.
I would agree. I would agree that a man would be able to swim farther than a woman.
Physically.
Well, I agree with that, but I don't think it helps you in I don't know what the temperature of the water was.
Oh my God, hypothermia affects men and women.
Yeah. The Titanic, you're dying.
Whether you're a man or a
2
woman,
minutes.
you can maybe tread water for a couple minutes and you're done.
Tops.
You're done.
But you asked for between a man or woman, so I voted woman because a man.
What do you say?
So the question is, who deserves to be on the lifeboat, or who will end up being on the lifeboat?
No, who do you think should get on the lifeboat first?
It's the strongest survive, no? Like they're going to
so
be
the men.
fighting for it.
So the
Yeah,
men.
they're going to be fighting for it.
Well, no, not necessarily.
there's some order.
They should be if
Well,
it's
they
life
should.
or death.
Well, they should, but I think sometimes you have like men's benevolent, sacrificial nature.
While they're dying.
Yeah, men sacrifice themselves.
While they're dying.
Captain always wants to go down with the ship, though. You know what I mean?
What do you
men
think?
will do
What
it.
do you think?
Women.
Women?
Women.
Women?
I think try and keep the families together.
Yeah.
Okay, that's.
I would
that's
say only transgenders deserve to get on the boat.
Save the trans.
Which trans?
They were trans back then.
The
Trans men, trans women.
Leave them on the boat.
Transition to a man or transition to a woman.
I mean, who do I like in
A message
society
from the
more?
government of Canada.
Sorry.
Pasty George donated $200
Thank you, man.
and 4
Appreciate
cents. There are a lot of men in North America who want to reproduce and have families, but it's just that feminism has brainwashed women into thinking those men are trash, hence why men are moving on.
I'll take them.
Also, y'all have traded. Sorry, you had something. Go. I think you had something.
No, I think I might have
ADHD.
said it. No,
He's already moved past it.
Well, I know in my head I was already thinking like, gay son or thought daughter for some reason. What is worse for society? Well, he's talking about having kids, and I think that's another reason why people are afraid to have kids is because, the son could turn to be gay, or and
daughters.
The rate of autism is higher. I'm just saying, there's a lot of like external factors with having kids that people are worried about, and it's like the movie Idiocracy, right? I don't know if you guys have seen that movie.
I've seen it.
But at the very beginning, like they show like this white trash family, and they used white people because they didn't want to be racist. But they show like this white trash family, and this guy's like banging his cousin. And his family tree just starts expanding. Then they show this other couple, and they're like, "Well, the market's not very good. I don't think we should have a kid right now." Then they like fast forward 5 years. They're like, "Oh, well, they're giving like all these like reasons of why it's not a great time to have a kid." And then it's like 30 years. She's like, "Well, I can't have a kid anymore," and they're financially fine, and why the other guy has hundreds of family members, and they. But that is really what happens in the world. And you look at India has 1 billion people, and they're all coming to Canada, and they're all coming here, and it's because people are afraid to have kids because of the external factors, because the world's so fucked up.